Okay, hey, my lovely students. Today we're going to kick British butt in the War of 1812. It's going to be awesome. This is one of my favorite lessons to teach because it sets up so many important things that we need to know later in our course. So make sure you're paying attention. All right, essential questions. Name two causes of the War of 1812. And why was the Battle of New Orleans, in fact, a meaningless victory? It didn't matter. Why did it not matter? Okay, so the War of 1812. So awesome that I get the job of teaching this to you. So many historical things are going to come out of this time period that we will learn about again prior to the Civil War. Some people you will be introduced to here. They're going to be instrumental in the sectionalism crises later on over slavery. So this is a war that was fought between us and Great Britain. So the British come back, and this is approximately 25 years after the Revolutionary War. Thank goodness they decide to wait that long before launching another invasion of the United States. Because if they had come like 1790-ish, we may not have been able to withstand it. But now we've got 20 something years under our belt. We're a stronger nation and we're ready. So, causes of this war between us and Great Britain are British impressment of our citizen soldiers. We've talked about this before. This is in a previous lesson. I showed you a picture of it then. I'm not going to show you one now. But you need to know is basically remember where our soldiers were taken from the ship and thrown into the British Royal Navy, basically. They were kidnapped and forced to work for the British Navy. So that's impressment. We will get continuously aggravated with this. Remember, this was during Jefferson's tenure also, and we're still dealing with it. The British are also going to fire upon the USS Chesapeake, killing 3 American soldiers. So that will cause us to get alarmed, obviously, and basically be just very upset and wonder about should we not just go to war with them. So let me show you 2 pictures. One, here's the headline of the War of 1812. So there will be some naval battles. You see, this is the American ship, and if you can tell, there's a ship behind it. This is the British ship. Here's the British flag. Here's the American flag. Okay, so it introduces you to the War of 1812. Here's the USS Chesapeake, a picture of that. And this ship is the one that will be attacked by the British, killing 3 Americans. Okay. All right, so the British are stopping U.S. ships to France. So more and more Americans are French sympathizers because of the French Revolution, because like Jefferson would fall in line with that, because we feel it's unfair for the French to be oppressed by their government just as we were oppressed as colonists. So the British are stopping our ships that we're sending to France to help the French. And it says in trade with them, and more Americans are French sympathizers, and they don't like the British stopping our ships and taking whatever's on it when it is supposed to be going to France. We are not colonists anymore. We are no longer under the Navigation Acts. And so a lot of these people are saying, what are the British doing? They have no business on our ships. Westerners are blaming the British for clashes they're having against Native Americans. And by Westerners, I'm talking about people in the Ohio Valley that are running into issues with Native Americans. Okay, and basically, if you recall, the British had left weapons for the Native Americans when they retreated earlier. So the people felt that the British in Canada were arming these Native Americans continuously, encouraging them to come down into the United States and attack us. So we have impressment. They're taking our soldiers, putting them on ships. We have the Chesapeake that's fired upon. 3 Americans are killed. We have that our ships are being stopped. They're going to France, are being stopped by the British, and we're losing our materials. And we have this issue of the British arming Native Americans from Canada and coming into the United States and attacking us. This led to several battles. Tecumseh and Prophet are 2 Native Americans. I'll show you more about them in a minute. That are going to, of course, be on the side of the British here for a moment because the British are stockpiling them. We're going to have the Battle of Tippecanoe with William Henry Harrison who gets that name, Tippecanoe. Okay, he's going to get that nickname because he's going to fight in this battle for the Americans, okay, against the natives, the Battle of Tippecanoe. All right, so William Henry Harrison, who will later become President Harrison, not yet here though, is fighting in the Battle of Tippecanoe against Tecumseh and Prophet. So the Native Americans are now fighting battles against us, the Americans. All right, some pictures of that. Here is Tecumseh and Prophet. So Shawnee Indians, Tecumseh and Prophet. We're not going to attempt to say his name. Americans feared the British aid to the Shawnee. So the British are helping the Shawnee Indians. Tecumseh was the military leader, brother. It says leader of the Shawnee Confederation, one of their most important leaders and a warrior. Prophet was Tecumseh's brother, and he was like the religious and political leader of the Shawnee. And they together are going to fight at the Battle of Tippecanoe. Now, much more so Tecumseh than Prophet. Anyway, very, very, very important. Here's James Madison and his wife Dolly just on the slide, but I want to point them out because James will be the one dealing with these issues as president. Okay, so the other issue, I was going to show you Tippecanoe, I'm sorry. Here's the Battle of Tippecanoe, and basically, here's Harrison's camp, William Henry Harrison, Battle of Tippecanoe, and they're going to decide to, after so many skirmishes with the Indians, they're going to attack at Prophetstown, which is where Tecumseh and Prophet are located. Okay, and also here is a really cool, I love this painting, painting of the battle, where you see here William Henry Harrison leading the men at Battle of Tippecanoe against, if you notice, these are all Native American Shawnee, Native Americans. Okay, Battle of Tippecanoe. So that's going to happen before the war begins. And it says war hawks are going to be in office, a group of young Republicans who are in Congress, and they are ready to fight the British. Okay? Remember, early on in our semester earlier, the Federalists supported the British, and the Democratic Republicans did not. They're going to support more the French side. So you see that here. The Republicans not in favor of the British. They're eager to fight Britain. They want to, number one, defend U.S. honor. Number two, gain Canada. Number three, destroy Native Americans on the frontier. Get rid of the Indians once and for all. We're done with that. Gain Canada. While we're at it, we might as well take Canada from the British if they're going to come over here and fight us, and we're going to defend our honor. Okay? So those are war hawks. I think I have a picture of that also. Oh, here's William Henry Harrison. I'm always behind, aren't I? Here's William Henry Harrison. Cool picture of him before the Battle of Tippecanoe. Here are war hawks. Many congressmen called themselves warriors. They're young, young men, trigger finger tempers. They're going to lose their temper and be like, what are the British doing? We should go to war with them. They're young men. That's how they are. So they're going to want to defend our honor. And this is a cool picture of that. I like this picture. We owe allegiance to no crown. We're not going back under the British. Cool picture. I also want you to see Clay and Calhoun because they're going to come up just in time for sectionalism, slavery, and the Civil War. Here's Henry Clay. Oh, that's probably too much advanced. But anyway, here's Henry Clay, John C. Calhoun. They're part of the war hawks. Now, this time they're young in Congress. Okay, so war. So, President Madison, my man, James Madison, love him, is inaugurated in 1808. Remember, he is the father of the Constitution. Brilliant, genius man. Studied Montesquieu and other Enlightenment philosophers. And upon entering office, he's not going to necessarily want to go in and have a war on his hands, but that's what has to happen because he sees all these things occurring, and so he declares war against Britain as really he feels his only option, June 1812. So, unfortunately, with Canada, remember war hawks want to take Canada, is poorly equipped by us. We are poorly equipped. We go in and invade Canada with almost no ammunition and not enough men, and we're quickly defeated by the British that are already there. Remember, the British own this part of Canada. So we lose. consider what that would be like if we had not lost that. And Canada would be part of the United States today, at least a portion of it. So Canada, we do not take. Naval battles. We have superior shipbuilding skills. Remember from the colonies? New England is all into shipbuilding, and we have perfected that over these 20-something years. So we're going to have a ship called the USS Constitution, also known as Old Ironsides. Make sure you know that. And we will sink a British ship off the coast, and we think we are bad boys doing this. Like, we are awesome. Okay, here's my man James, because you must know him. Awesome. Here is USS Constitution. This is the USS Constitution. They recommissioned it, restored it, and it sailed in 2013, I believe, as a historic sailing. So there's USS Constitution, Old Ironsides. Okay, so let me move on. The British successfully blockade our coast, which is a problem. We can't get things in or out. We do have victories at Lake Erie. 28-year-old Captain Oliver Hazard Perry says, "We have met the enemy and they are ours." So he's somebody not to mess with. Here is Erie and Perry. Here's Perry at Erie, Lake Erie. "We have met the enemy and they are ours." Really cool picture of the flag there too. Okay. All right. So we win at Lake Erie. Also, William Henry Harrison wins at the Battle of Thames River. Tecumseh is killed. The British are forced to retreat. So we win Thames River with William Henry Harrison, and they're forced to retreat. They do not invade New York or New England. We have the upper hand. It says, as Napoleon in Europe is defeated, the British can now send more troops. The French war is over with the British. They can send more troops into America. Oh, no, bad news. On August 12, 1814, they march into D.C. and set fire to the White House and the U.S. Capitol. They also bombard Baltimore at Fort McHenry, but they lose. The British lose. They do set fire to Washington, D.C., but they lose at Fort McHenry. And this is where Francis Scott Key writes the Star-Spangled Banner. You will do a lot more in stations about Star-Spangled Banner. Just a couple of pictures I want to show you. This is a photograph I took while I was there at Fort McHenry. The boats coming in to land that are in the water there represent the British, and they were literally shooting cannons from, if I get my finger there, from this territory up here to Fort McHenry. But they knew they couldn't come much closer because the American cannons at the fort could hit them if they came in this area about right here. They're going to try to invade from this side on foot. Not successful. Okay. So this is where, here's another picture. This is where, these are my boys at Fort McHenry this summer. This is the flagpole. They restored it, the original underground part. They had actually built the pole into the ground so it would withstand wind and that kind of thing. So they restored the original pole. This is not the Star-Spangled Banner actual flag. The actual flag, I'll show you in a minute, is in the Smithsonian. And here are the cannons I was talking about at Fort McHenry. You can see the water kind of in the background there into the harbor. All right, so this is where the Star-Spangled Banner is written by Francis Scott Key. This is one of my children at the museum there looking at interactive thing. They had a big humongous flag above it, computer generated. Some pictures. Burning of the White House by the British. There's still burnt bricks. The entire thing did not totally burn to the ground. Here's Fort McHenry. So here would be the battery where they were shooting towards. Here is the pole that the Star-Spangled Banner was on. Okay. Here is Francis Scott Key. Cool picture of him who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. Here is a picture from the Smithsonian where you can look at the Star-Spangled Banner. They believe one star is missing from the time, and they believe it was cut out and given to Lincoln. But anyway, later on, time of Civil War, that's the actual flag. You can go see it in the Smithsonian, which is more than cool. Then we have the Battle of New Orleans. Meaningless battle because it came weeks after the Treaty of Ghent and signed. War is over. General Andrew Jackson leads the charge.